Good morning. That road noise you can hear is the Quinton Expressway, just over there. For those that know the area, that puts me firmly and squarely onto Woodgate Valley Country Park. I've come over this morning, do a bit of filming, by request. Been asked to have a look at some of the stoves I've got. I've started not collecting them, but you know, as you all do when you get into this sort of hobby, the collection tends to grow on its own. That's what I tell the wife anyway, nothing to do with me. So yes, I'll come over, just have a look at some of the things I've got and film it. And I'm going to get some water from the Bourne Brook just down here. It's actually flowing really well. This way. Good boy. If you've not seen it before, I'm going to collect water using a dry bag, just from the running stream down there, and use that for my cup of tea when I get to the site. Hoping that somewhere around here is a Mr. J. Come on boy, walk on. Good lad. No, this way. This way. Used to be a fantastic pond for frogs and newts, that did. And then somebody parked a mini in it. Hey! There he is, top of the stairs. Whew. Well, I had to stop and get water, didn't I? Before we do anything else, before we start talking about stoves, I'm probably going to want to get some water on the boil. And before I can do that, I need to purify the water I've just collected. So I'm going to show you, I've not showed you before, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get the filter going and get some clean water in a mug, ready for boiling up on our first stove. So the way I'm going to clean this water is, I've collected the water in the bag. I've got a siphon pipe, I've got my soya mini, my soya mini, and I've got my mug to collect it in. Siphon pipe just onto the end of my filter like that, and the other end is going into the bag of water. I'll start the siphon going. Once it's flowing, I'll just rest that in the cup and let it run in. So are you just nicking my cup, mate? Are you just nicking my cup? That's Jay set for the day. You leave my mug alone, you. I'll get you some water in a minute. He's sneaking up on my cup. He's going to drink my water from my cup, ain't you, boy? Is that your plan? Was that your plan, was it? Hey? Is that your plan? I don't think so, mister. Good boy. Yes, you are. Don't worry. You can have everything that's in the bag once I've got a mug of water out of it, okay? Yes, you can. This morning I'm going to talk about stoves. I brought a first aid kit. I brought a range of the stoves that I own. I use them, some more than others, for various different purposes. The first thing I'm going to show you is, I think, probably this one here. This is my latest acquisition. This is an alcohol stove, so it needs to have a liquid fuel with it. And I'm going to use this one now to make myself a cup of tea. that's the stove itself. It's basically just that pad. That's a carbon foam, carbon sponge, and that's there just to stop you spilling it. So once you put your alcohol in there, if you do knock it over, this is going to stop it from going everywhere. Hopefully. So I'm just going to put some fuel in there. That'll be enough. Little stand for it. This is all spring aluminium, so it weighs almost nothing. I'm going to put that there like that, drop that onto there, and then light it up. That's it, that's going. They do suggest that with any of these type of stoves you use a windshield with it, so I am going to put the windshield around it like that, and then just put my mug on top. And we'll just let that tick away in the background while I talk about the other stoves here. This part here, this is the lid. Now this can be used with a Hexy block, so you can put this underneath. You don't want to put a Hexy block on top of the foam because it will damage the foam, and it's the same with gels as well. You don't really want to use gels with the foam because it can damage the foam, but you can use gels here. You can use Hexy block, just drop that in, Hexy block on top, light it, and I'll show you that in a short while when we start looking at Hexys. Stove number 1. Stove number 2 is this one. Now this one I've had, so that one I've just bought. That was only about 13 quid on Amazon. This one I've had for probably about 15 years. It's a brass one. It's another alcohol stove, which I'll also light in just a second. There it is. And again, we just put a little bit of liquid fuel in. I'm not going to put a lot in this one because I just want it to burn out. So that's now going. What will happen is, as it gets warm, eventually the flame will stop coming out the middle and start coming out the holes around the outside, and that's when you know it's going properly. At that point you can actually see it starting to come through that hole there. Now it's starting to, it's starting to come around all the little holes. Once it's going like that, you can drop a cup straight on it because the cup doesn't block the holes, and the flame will come out the holes as well. So we'll let that, give that a chance to get going a bit better. So those two particular types of stove, the type of thing you just throw in your backpack, they're great for exactly what we're using it now for, just boiling up a quick cup of water for a cup of tea when you're out on the trail, or you know, just when you don't want to unpack everything. So that goes in my day pack, it goes in my overnighter, it goes in my weekend day. It doesn't matter what I'm taking, that's always there. One of these two will be there, and it will be in a side pouch near my mug. Cup of tea, great stuff, just get it out, make yourself a cup of tea. You can see that that's starting to burn a bit better now. This one comes with the simmering, so this part here you can drop it on, and it just allows you to control the flame size by opening or closing this vent. So you do get a little bit of control over it. It's not brilliant, it's not supposed to be. That's what it's for. To doubt it, just drop the lid on it. That's those two. Let's look at another nice and easy to use stove. This is a rip-off, so it's not an MSR rocket or anything like that, but I've had this one for probably close to 10 years now, and it's a great little stove. You just fold these bits, swings all round, and then you screw it on top of a gas bottle. The nice thing about this one is it's got a little piezoelectric lighter. I'll show you this one in a short while when Jason's finished. In fact, Jason's got one on his. Do you want to go and have a look at yours? That's what that looks like. Again, it's another one that can just be used, throw in your bag with a gas canister. It does take a larger gas canister though. You do have to carry that around with you, whereas with these two it's just a bottle of spirit, and that can be used for other things as well. So we recently used this to get a fire going in the damp. I'd love to be able to light a fire by rubbing sticks together, but to be honest, a little splash of this, woof, and you're up and running. What I would say is, if you are going to have these type of stoves that screw onto gas bottles, it's also worth getting something like this. So this is an adapter, and this allows you to use different types of gas bottle. So I'll just put this on and I'll show you what I mean. So there it is in place now, and now I can just open this out, light it up. So that's how they work. I'm just going to move this round here now, show you another little trick. So when I put this cup on there I actually did put it out, which I wasn't expecting to. But there is another way you can do these. You can use these little stoves, which is, you take your tent pegs, of which you should have loads. I just want 3, and I'm going to go 1, 2 and 3. Push them down, push that down, push that down, push it in, and then stand my cup on top like that.
You want this gas canister?
Yeah, we'll do in a second. So there we go. It's almost boiled that. I'm going to get there in a second. This one's cooled down already. That's the 3 lightweight cookers just for doing a quick boil on. These ones here, by the way, a word of warning, can be quite fierce. With the heat they throw out, I actually burnt a hole in the bottom of one of my frying pans because I had such a concentrated heat in one spot, and it just put a hole in it. That was a fun day. So the next cooker I'm going to talk about is the Hexy block cooker. There we go. Beloved of the British Army for many years, these things.
I've
these
got many a meal on them.
Oh yeah, these are dead simple. They just sit on the floor like that. You take a Hexy block. That's one of these. I'm only going to use a little bit of one. Light it. These can be a bugger to light as well.
That's lit.
Yep, I know. Put it on your stove like that. Okay, and again, if you just cook it up with a cup of water, you can just put some tent pegs on there like that, and that gives you something just to stand it on, so that when you're cooking you've got that. Nice thing about these is you can add bits of wood to them to keep them going, so it's a little fire in its own right with that one. Just move that out the way over here. I mentioned earlier that this one here could be used with Hexy blocks. So the way we'd use that is we'd swap this bit out, pop that bit there. So that's how you'd use that stove as a Hexy burner over this one. Perfect. What are we looking at next? Let's look at the firebox, the Trangia. So here's another Hexy burner, and this will also take the Trangia type stove there, which can sit in the bottom. This one works in conjunction with this cup. So once again, tiny little bit of Hexy just to get it, just so we can see the flame going, and also it's keeping me very warm. All of these little burns. So we'll get that going. Bloody hell, it's hot. It would be its fire.
I was going to say, that's what it's designed to do.
So that the Hexy block sitting there, the mug sits on top.
And then you've got the holes for...
Yep, and it acts as its own little windshield as well. Next thing I'm going to look at is the firebox. So this is again, you can see it takes up no space. It weighs almost nothing. It can be a bugger to put together sometimes, because it comes with these flat plates. And the idea with this is that you use it as like a mini wood stove. And I'm going to put it together. I'm not going to light it. So that's the back, that's the front. So you start with the front, and that just slots together. And the sides. That's the side of them, that one there. So I'll put the front and the sides together. Now, if you want to use this with a Hexy block or with a little Trangia burner, you'd set this quite high up there. I want to use it with wood, so I'm going to set it down low, close this up like that. Oh, I lost it, did lose it, try it again. Close it up like Those look like that. Did I say that these could be awkward to put together? And then that back on. Those on there. Come on, get in. Right on this side. And we are done. Perfect. So this is the little wood burner, and all you do is you get your fire going in there, and then you constantly feed wood into it. That is Jason demonstrating feeding wood into it from the bottom like that, yeah. And then you can sit your pan on top, and again, if you just want to do a cup, these holes are there to put through your sticks, and then you've got something to rest your cup on, or your pan if your pan's a bit small. The nice thing about that is it's a real flame, and I used this when I was hiking. I used that and this as my two main forms of cooking and heating water. So I did my cooking on that and just used that pretty much as I've shown to boil water. But that was really nice. I mean, you're in the middle of the woods on your own, and you've just got a nice little flame there, a little pile of dry sticks, just feeding them in. It's quite comfortable. It's quite nice. Next up, we have the big gas stove. So this is the one that I'll use if we're going out camping and we're going to have a proper food. So rather than just boiling the bag, any of these here, boiling the bag, absolutely perfect. Rehydrating meals, great stuff. And when I'm hiking, that's certainly what I prefer. I don't want to be messing around with having to cook. I just want to rehydrate stuff or warm it up. So any of these on a hike, absolutely great. And this one here, however, is for proper cooking. So if you watched our recent wild camp, our winter wild camp, this is the stove I was cooking on. It's quite a big one. It gives out a big gas ring. It throws out a lot of heat, and it's ideal for proper frying pan cooking, which is what I use it for. You can see it unfolds into quite a big setup. Gas bottle's going to go on this end. I use J's like that, and again it's piezo electric light, so you don't need light. I'm just going to turn it on over here and light it. There you go, that's lit. Where are we? We've got stoves galore all over the place. The last stove that I want to show you is actually one of my favourites, and it's this one under here. Basically at the bottom here in this container is the liquid that we're going to burn. That can be petrol, it can be diesel, it can be as I say, cooking oil or meths or anything like that. I'm going to pressurise it using this pump. Okay, when I open the valve here, the liquid's going to be forced up into this tube here and across the top, through this pipe across the top. Now the idea is that when it goes through that pipe, right, list, it's preheating. So before we get this going, we do have to preheat it, and inside there is a wick which I'm going to put some liquid on just to get it going, get this tube hot. So pressurized liquid comes up through the top, across the preheat tube here, and then it goes underneath and up through a nozzle. Now the preheated stuff is already hot. It starts to vaporize if it's a petrol that you're using, or a mess or something like that. It will vaporize. So what's actually coming out the nozzle is more like a gas. With diesel, it will be a liquid that comes through, but it will come through under pressure. So as it comes through here, that will pressurize it even more, and it will squirt up and hit this plate. And this plate will be really, really hot, and you'll see it when it gets going, that will start to glow. When the liquid hits that underneath, it instantly vaporizes and causes a proper cooking flame. So that's a quick overview of how it's going to work. Let's show it in action. So first of all, pressurize the container. That was about, I don't know, 30 pumps, something like that. Do you want to come in just close up so you can see what's going in there? So I'm going to open the valve now until I see liquid coming out through the nozzle. I don't know whether you're going to see it, but oh, there we go. So liquid's starting to come through, and what I want to do is get some out so that it starts to flood onto the wick. Right, okay, so I can turn it right down now. I want to turn it off stop the liquid coming out, and just spill it onto the wick. So I'm absolutely soaking the wick with it now. Next thing is to light that bit. Come on, alcohol, light up.
Yeah.
There you go. So that'll work its way down, hopefully get to the wick. There you go, that's the wick going. If you come around this side, you'll see it better. Okay. Now I'm just going to keep an eye on that until it looks like it's burning enough for me to then start letting the pressurized liquid through. And you'll know when it's going, because you will get a proper flame on it. Yes, with this kit, you do get, this was about 30 quid from eBay. I don't think anything here, this is probably the most expensive stove I've got. As I say, I think it was about 30 quid. Everything else was around about the between 10 and 15 pound or cheaper. This one comes with a little cleaning tool, so a little tool there for everything you need to do, unblocking jets. There's a little spanner there, and also the spare nozzles. So you do have to change the nozzles depending on the fuel type you're using. Basically, and counterintuitively, the smaller the hole, the heavier the liquid. By that, what do I mean? So something like alcohol is a really light liquid, it's really thin, and with that, believe it or not, you use the bigger hole, the bigger jetted nozzle. With the diesel, you use the smallest one, that's the heaviest oil. With the cooking oil as well, if you're going to use cooking oil on it, that's what you'd use. Right, this is going to start. There we go. So what you can see now is that it's going to get hotter and hotter. But the jet of diesel is hitting that bottom plate, and it's vaporising on the bottom plate and sending the flame out. So we're getting a proper cooking flame on it. Great stove, absolutely love it. A little bit heavier than the rest, but I'm not carrying an extra gas bottle. There's enough fuel in that container. I did a test. It holds around about 300 mil. So what are we looking at? So a can of Coke. I don't know what that is in fluid ounces, but that's how much goes in here. I did 6 boils on a test. I was just boiling water on it, not even so a litre of water in one of these. Boil it, throw it away, let everything cool down, relight it, boil it, and so on. And I did 6. Then I emptied this out completely, and I've only used 100 mil, so a third of what it would hold for 6 boils, and that's from cold. I let it cool down each time in between, just so that I knew how much you could do. So if you was going out for 2 or 3 days, that container full would be enough for everything you'd need for 2 or 3 days. I haven't refilled this from when we was using it at the Forest of Dean, however many months ago that was. I still would take something like this as a backup, and I wouldn't get this out every time I wanted a cup of coffee. I'd still be using one of the little alcohol stoves, but as a main cooking, and even just for a bit of heat, I mean, that is throwing out so much warmth. It's cracking. So yeah, those are the stoves I use on a regular basis. I think Coleman are the original manufacturer of this type of stove, but you'll pay £100 for it. I paid 30 quid for that. These type of stoves, again, you could pay 80, 90 quid for that type of thing here. I paid £13.99. It took a while to come from China. This one, I've had that so long I can't even remember where I got it from or how much I paid. I think this one, the Cancer type stove here, is an Amazon rip-off. I think I paid about £4 for that, £5. The Hexy blocks, again, you pick them up and you throw them away after a couple of uses. That was about £5 with the blocks, again from Amazon. Alcohol stove, 13 quid. Firebox was I think about 15. I can't remember again. Amazon, most of this has come from Amazon, 15 quid. This is probably quite expensive. I know that's Jay's. Do you remember how much you paid for that?
I can't know.
Because it came with the mug as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I got the lot together. I can't remember. I don't think it was expensive, to be honest with you.
It won't have been up in the sort of
I think it was about
30, 40, 50 pound that you'll get if you're buying sort of proper transiers and stuff like that. But I don't know how much that one was. I'm sure we could find out. There we go. There's my stoves. I hope you enjoyed the little video that we did. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment if you want to see anything else. but we don't know if you're enjoying it if you don't leave a like. So please leave a like, and we'll see you on the next one. I've got to pull this away now.